In terms of deciding to become an independent journalist, there were varied factors that were in play. Not the least of which was the fact that I felt I didn't have the independence to do the kind of work I wanted to do anymore. That independence was clearly withering away. I had seen a year and a half ago the rot set into television news that I think now the population, the general public sees on the outside. It was obvious on the inside, a year and a half ago that this was happening, that there was no room for honest journalism on television anymore because it was such a high stakes game. And basically what happened was television is such an expensive prospect because you need the equipment, you need the studios, you need the manpower, you need the satellite space, you need distribution. It costs hundreds of crores of rupees to put together a television news channel. And you have to recover that money. And how do you recover that money in a bad economy where the viewership is dipping? You do anything for TRPs. And we saw people do anything for TRPs. It was no longer news. It was, they were in competition with your Saas Bahu serials and your Big Boss and, roadies.
Oh my God.
This is what television had become, what news had become on television. And it was obviously something very unhealthy about it, which I didn't want to be part of. Also, let's be honest about the fact that in news right now, the biggest advertiser is government, state and center. And so you have channels now that don't want to bite the hand that's feeding them, because most of their advertising is coming from governments and conclaves and, members of government coming to their conclaves in order for them to make money. So there was no room, to do work that I wanted to do anymore. And I had promised myself a long time ago that I would do the job for as long as it was honest. And the day it stopped being honest, I would stop doing the job. And I kept that promise to myself,
Yes.
which was, which came as a shock to many people, including myself, because I didn't realize it would happen so quickly. And
Yes.
but it played out, and we are where we are today. But fundamentally, also, I saw that a lot of young people were not watching television anymore. They shifted to the internet. They were disgusted with the profession the way it was, and because of that, they were also not being informed. So I felt the need that to create something that informs young people adequately, and is no longer, so because at that point, a lot of the young people I was talking to at least, were spending all their time on Instagram, sort of posting pictures of their meals. And so it was all meals, food, fashion, cats, dogs, right? There was no, we were raising a generation of people who didn't know what was going on in the country. And I felt that there was a need to remedy that without bringing in the adversarial conversation. So what's happening right now is that something takes place in the country and immediately the country is split into two halves, right?
Strong opinions floating on Twitter.
And everybody's yelling at everybody else.
Yes.
So nobody's bothering to tell you what is happening. Nobody bothers to tell you what is a toolkit. Nobody bothers to tell you what are these farm laws and why is everybody upset about them. What is the history of this problem?
And people want to know, according to you. They want to know it, but there's nobody telling them.
Yes, they want to know it, but they don't want to have to sift through. Like, I know that I spend a lot of time on Twitter. I know that I have to sift through a lot of hate on Twitter in order to simply, if you want to find out what happened, that's a lot of hate to have to read through. Maybe, mental health wise, I don't want to have to do it to myself. To switch on the television, to watch your evening news, and there is no nuance in the conversation. They're shouting at each other for a whole hour about the same point. They have not moved forward at all. So my understanding of the issue has not been helped in any way, because none of these people who are shouting at each other are domain experts. Yes. They're just throwing opinions around, and that's
totally. And now everybody gets that. Like, it's very clear.
Yeah, and that's not helping. So there was definitely a gap. And honestly, I'll tell you what. Even if it's just 5 people who watch my video, I'm happy, because I stepped out of television. I'm not in a race for TRPs anymore. I don't care. I don't have to compete with anybody. I don't have to be number one. I don't have to get good numbers. I don't have to do TRPs.